Hey folks, Assalamu alaikum. I'm here with Qari Idris Ali, and he's visiting Houston from Toronto, or Mississauga specifically. And we basically spent recording the last capstone, the capstone class for the fundamentals program of Quran Flow, which is essentially level 4. There's 4 levels within the Quran Flow fundamentals program. First level gets you to learn how to essentially be introduced to the Arabic alphabet. Level 2 introduces you to the pronunciation of the letters and how to connect these letters into words. Level 3 introduces how to recite these words, and level 4 teaches you some advanced tajweed on how to have some flow within your recitation. That's basically the fundamentals program in a nutshell. One of the things I wanted to kind of sit down with our instructor here, Qari Idris Ali. He's one of several, by the way. We have many more coming. Hopefully I'll be able to engage with and converse with many more as we are producing. But the first question I had here is if you could kind of encapsulate in a story, well, perhaps we can just start off with, maybe you can share with us your story of how you got started in, or what does your story with Quran look like? How'd you get started? For anybody who doesn't know, you're somebody who not only have studied tajweed, you've been teaching Quran, you have ijazat, meaning certifications essentially, as a lack of a better term, in various modalities of recitation. And you also teach people how to beautify that voice through a science known as Maqamat. And so within the scope of Quran Flow, you're teaching us some advanced tajweed techniques. But before we kind of get into that, what would you say, or tell us your story about how you got into this?
Okay, Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Let me see. My parents. Yeah, my parents, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them both. Some things, like a lot of people have this Quran story that starts with some sort of a struggle or distance from the Quran, and then they kind of like, that, what do you call it, like a hero story type of, is that what it's called? That type of story where like, that was struggle, origin story, whatever it's called. I don't really have that. Alhamdulillah, like, ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. That's it's a gift or a bounty from Allah that He gives to certain people, and I didn't ask for my parents. Like I just got my parents, it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they raised us like immersed in Quran, right? So like it wasn't anything that I had to kind of come to later in life. It was just as far as I can remember, we learned with my mom how to read, like, Qaida kind of level, whatever. There was this other book, I think it was called like Yasarna al-Quran.
Yeah, that's the South Asian version of Qaida Nurani.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I just remember we had it. It was like this little like cardboardy, like, thing. And even with my dad, like, so we were always reciting, surrounded by Quran. We're driving to school, reviewing Quran with dad, and
well, so it's one thing to have, I guess, a very clear exposure to that growing up, but there's a point where you kind of end up deciding for yourself, hey, this is what I want to do, right? Like, was there a point, or was it like decided beforehand from your parents? Like,
no. So actually, my parents. So like some parents put their kids like in hifz and they're in madrasa and they have to do hifz. My parents didn't do that either. So it was sort of like in between, even though I'm saying like immersed in Quran, but there was a sense of like maybe understanding and living the Quran is more paramount than just like kind of rote memorization. But we did memorize, but it wasn't like, okay, you're going to a madrasa full time and you have to memorize. So I didn't memorize as a child, actually. Maybe as a child we memorized bits and pieces, but I think it was more organic. Like we used to have this cassette. It was Sheikh Muhammad al-Muhaysini reciting Surat Al-Imran. He's a reciter from Medina. And of course, you're a Qari of a cassette. You just flip side A and side B, you just flip it and keep listening. So we used to listen to that a lot. And then it was just kind of like a family project. Hey, well, let's just memorize Al-Imran, right? So we did that. So there wasn't like an order, like a structure, like we had to memorize the whole Quran or something of that sort. So I think in some sense, it was a little bit more organic. it was more like around like loving the Quran and appreciating the Quran maybe, but it wasn't even like, it wasn't like drilled into us in that way. It was more organic, right? So, okay, we memorized Ali Imran together, where even my dad was always memorizing, right? So even as a kid, I remember when we used to go to a masjid and he was memorizing Surah Baqarah at that time. And I remember when he memorized all of Surah Baqarah, and that was like, so I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't think there was a point. And then along the way, right? Maybe I was that kid that had like a good voice or a decent voice. So I was like, people would put me to read, like at these school functions, school programs, there's a fundraising dinner for the school, there's a masjid event. My dad would go around and give lectures. So we go with him, and like before the lecture, the host masjid, they'll get me to read and recite. And then, so I do the opening recitation, my dad gives a lecture. So I don't think it was like, I don't think it was a point where I had to decide like, I want to be a Qari type of thing.
So there was no real turning point. So how did you find yourself studying like the Qira'at, gaining the certifications and the ijazat? Were these just simply opportunities that just happened to be presented in front of you along your life that you're like, okay?
Yeah, so I think people just naturally, okay, like suppose you have a kid that, I'll use my kid as an example, he likes art, right? So naturally, like because he likes art, like we'll also encourage him in that, right? So and then when it's time for Eid gifts and he wants something, like it'll be like, oh, let me get these like fancy art supplies, not the regular like Walmart stuff, right? So, so it's not like a conscious decision. It's just like things organically build up such that over time he's getting better and better at whatever, drawing, sketching, and that sort of thing. So I think with myself, it was like that we're listening to recitations. It's also a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that sense, that even if I compare myself, say, to my siblings, like I was that kid that would listen to Sheikh Abdul Basit and then just like go for it, right? Out loud. Whereas some people might be a little bit more like inhibited and they might not want to recite out loud for people to listen. Like, oh, somebody's hearing you, someone like, so I was like that kind of kid. I listened to stuff, I would recite out loud, then people put me to recite. So it kind of like builds on it. Later in life, if I'm following your question, like obviously I had to choose to kind of study this stuff, right? But those opportunities also, like, you're already primed in some way to like find yourself in those situations, right? You're into martial arts, right? You're into martial arts.
Yeah, sure.
Like if I wanted to learn martial arts, I have to actually go and research and find like where should I learn martial arts? What's the difference between this type and whatever? But for yourself, because you're already in that, like you would already through like socially have an idea of like, oh, there's this, I don't know, this sensei coming to town, for example, right? So because I'm already into that, like if a sheikh comes to town or something, like I might know, okay, this sheikh is qualified in Qira'at, maybe I can go recite to him, that type of thing.
Right. So, I mean, I guess there's the foundational element that because you already had it, that primed you for when the opportunities did come to then be able to take it. But at the same time, it's just like, it's one thing to be primed for an opportunity, but I would assume there's something about making the conscious decision to, it's my understanding that ijazat aren't easy. Right? There's a process.
Yeah.
There's time spent. There's resources. There's travel. Right? I liken it to not just a certification, but almost like in a degree of sort. The same type of time and energy that goes into it. So, like, what led to that?
So when my teacher started teaching Qira'at in the city, my friend, who I also used to do like Quran stuff with. So again, that's what I mean. Like it's organic and social. Like my friend had heard about this teacher who's studying, and I'm his friend, and we do Quran. We used to do Quran stuff together. Maybe like in university, we used to read. We used to like meet up and memorize together. I remember with this one friend, we used to memorize after Fajr. Like we pray Fajr together, and then we memorize. And we'd like compete, have this healthy competition. Whoever makes more mistakes has to buy the other one like the coffee and cinnamon roll or donut for the morning. So we had this like, so when he finds out about this sheikh, he also tells me about this sheikh. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by like there's this socialness to it, that like the sheikh is teaching. He heard about that. He tells me about it. He gets me in. We start going together to class, and that's what I mean by like organic, as opposed to there's a blank canvas and now I need to one day decide, like I really want to study this. Let me go find out like where to. Do you see what I mean? It just kind of happened.
But I would think it's just like if I liken it to the martial arts analogy that you kind of pointed out to, like in my case, like yes, like from childhood, I was put into martial arts. Part of it, like you said, my parents saw that one, this kid is getting beat up at school, and two, this kid actually loves the Ninja Turtles, and he loves Michelangelo.
Oh, and Ninja Turtles are the best,
right? And so they're like, all right, let's put him in a martial arts program where he can address his issue of getting bullied and beat up, and at the same time fulfill his desire to be a Ninja Turtle, in some sense. But and it put me in a school. I enjoyed it. We moved. I want to continue training, find another school. I continue training, and obviously time spent there introduces you to the various instructors and disciplines within the martial arts. And so as I become an adult, I move out, finish college, and it's like, hey, I want to continue my training. Where do I go? I know what I'm looking for, so I find it, right? And so, but then I move again, but it's that continuation of like, I need to maintain my training and my enrollment in some sort of discipline. Now, the disciplines that I trained in varied based on the location that I was in, but it was still an evolution in the direction of like what I wanted to learn, right? Like I might have started with Kyokushin karate, getting into a mixed martial arts scenario, getting into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And so, but it was a natural evolution in this regard. But I guess there's a question of like, as somebody who is a student of the martial arts, and yes, I've done coaching at the behest of another instructor who's like, yeah, like I guess them validating me, yeah, you know your stuff. I want you to teach in this area for these classes when you can. I'm like, okay, great. But it's not like at the same time for me to jump to be like, yeah, sure, I'll teach when I'm available. To like, hey, I want to run my own school, right? I want to be a sensei, right? Like that's a very conscious, career-focused decision.
Okay. I'm gonna hypothesize because of my bad memory, but at that point, like throughout high school, even throughout university, I would have been leading salah at the masjid and that sort of thing already, right? So I can't remember specifically, but conceivably, it's probably the case that, you know, like I'm already doing this and there's like a desire to level up on like the theory side or like maybe like be more qualified. I don't really know.
Sure. Okay.
I can't tell you for sure.
You're pursuing higher education, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're making the conscious decision of like, I want to be a teacher, I want to be an instructor, but like, no, I want to continue further that training.
Yeah, and I want to like study something formally.
And the opportunities to teach kind of just came as a organic consequence of you finding yourself in these, I guess, positions?
No, that's probably, so the teaching part of it is probably separate. So I think your first question was like how did I get into like Quran and get into study?
Yeah, so there's an element of what
and then the teaching is a separate thing. So those are two separate things because as a child and whatever, like how did I kind of like get into reciting and like enjoying recitations and that kind of, a lot of that as a child happens organically. And so there's that. Then there's the studies, which yes, you have to decide to do that. But like, why did I have an interest in studying tajweed and Qira'at versus say something else? It's probably because already Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already like blessed me and primed me with this sort of talent that I'm reciting already anyways. Get it? So now it's like, you see, like it kind of snowballs on itself. To use an analogy of a child who's been doing art for all like their life, and now they're like, oh, let me enroll in an art school. It's not like a huge life-changing decision to go, right? As opposed to like somebody, imagine you had someone who's like science and engineering, whatever, they're an engineer, they finished their 4-year degree of engineering, and then they're like, I've had an awakening, I want to go enroll in art school. Like that might be something that requires much of an explanation, right? But I think in my case, it doesn't really, I don't know. It doesn't really, like, it seemed to be just like a natural progression.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But then the teaching,
that's
something separate because that's, so like, I teach students to beautify their voice, like Maqamat and beautifying in tone and melody and so on. that was more a conscious choice of like, after university, what am I going to do with my life? And so there was a decision there.
Right. What did you study at university?
Physiology, and I have a master's in, it was osteoporosis research. So I'm
Okay.
a master's from the,
So medical researcher.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
And you could have pursued that.
I could have, yeah.
Okay. Yet you didn't.
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it because it's like, hey, I studied it and not really into it, or it was what?
So after I finished my master's, I don't know if this.
You did a master's in osteoporosis.
I did a master's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a master's from the Institute of Medical Science at the University of Toronto. Alhamdulillah. It's a good degree. And
I mean, not many people today in our generation can say they have a master's.
yeah, alhamdulillah. So I was kind of at the point where, again, I don't know if this is for public consumption, but I had a PhD lined up. And I think
in the same field?
In the same field, yeah, yeah. But I feel like my heart wasn't like fully into it. And at that time, like I was kind of, so I grew up with my dad being involved in dawah and community work. Okay. So we grew up in the masjid and like all that kind of stuff. So I think even in university, it was like, my brother was MSA president, then I was MSA president, then my younger brother was MSA president. So there was like this, like, the joke was the Ali dynasty, right? So, so I always like had this idea that like, I'm going to do something in the community. Yeah, yeah. And so when it was time to choose, like, am I going to do this PhD? I think my heart was like a little bit like, I feel like I want to do something in the community. I don't know exactly what at that point. And my supervisor was kind of like, she was like, hey, you know what? Like, masters, you can get by. It's just 2 years. Like, even if your heart's not fully into it, you can get by. At that time, I also gotten married. She's like, a PhD is longer. It could go 4 years, go 5 years. It could go longer if you have delays. She's like, you might have kids in that point. So like, you have to, like, if you're not fully into it, then she suggested that it might not be the best thing to do. Okay. So I think that's where I kind of like, yeah, I took the hint.
What I'm hearing is that PhD, more time for education, not necessarily lining you up to earn.
So that wasn't one of the factors. Like, it wasn't.
So you never saw like because the thought process goes into my mind. If I'm looking at discontinuing higher education, it's usually, I know in my case, it was like, hey, I'm not gonna bother even with a master's degree because I need to go out and make some grub.
Yeah.
Right. And so even then, like, I was going to school part-time. I was working full-time to pay for that bachelor's education.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, finally I'm done, right? Now I can get into work even more to do what I was already doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so now the thought of going out and pursuing my master's has crossed my mind, but only by virtue of the thought that, hey, I may want to change the field that I am currently in, or advance in some specialized facet of that field, right? Whether it be like, in the case of being a person who works professionally in marketing, maybe get into something like data analytics kind of thing, or whatever, right? So, because the thing is, you do this full time.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm trying to do is find the thing that got you, or did you just fall upon it?
Allah knows best if that was a good decision or bad decision, or what, like, if I was thinking straight or not. But anyways, that's what I decided. And around the same time, I don't know which came first, right? Which came first, but it was around the same time that I encountered Sheikh Muhammad Sharif and his work with Discover You. And the first thing that program that I took with him was You Were There Too, in Toronto, Millionaire Who Went to Jannah. So
I was doing this.
You were doing this, right? And that was maybe like 2008, 2009.
Yeah, 2008, I think. 2008, 2009.
2008, 2009. So okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now if we're putting a date on it, that's before I graduated with my master's. So I probably took Sheikh Muhammad Sharif, rahimahullah, his program.
So
He went to Jannah.
influence that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what?
we're
I don't need
piecing
them.
this together right now, live. Okay, so I probably took his Millionaire Who Went to Jannah, and I got the idea or inspiration or the idea that I could do something in the community and it would be lucrative, or like not like it would be something
You could make a living out.
I could make a living out of it, right? As opposed to that was anyways. That's probably where it started. So then now it's a matter of then I started riding the Sheikh Muhammad Sharif train, and eventually took this program with him, Nishiro, and I started my own teaching from there.
Which was what, recite and tune, right?
Recite and tune, yeah. So at that time, that was a while ago, 2010. At that time, there was no one else teaching Maqamat in English in a structured way. Like there were kind of like random websites that have some videos and stuff, but there was no one really teaching Maqamat in English. So that was something that was already like what I was interested in or passionate about. And there was also a need, like nobody was doing that. So I think I took some of those principles that he shared and brought it to my life.
How did you get introduced to Al-Maghrib and the opportunity with Quran Flow? Because my, I guess, my introduction to you within the context of this has been because I'm on the administrative side, right? Working on the marketing and production and stuff. And so, hey, we've brought on Idrees Ali. I'm like, hey, cool, recite and tune. Great. And so, but like, that's where the story of you and I begins, right? But I'm wanting to know what so from niche
So you didn't ask the team, where did this guy come from?
I mean, I knew who you were,
Yeah.
but I'm not responsible necessarily for finding instructors.
Yeah.
My job typically is surrounded by taking the instructors that are brought on board and producing the material with them and producing all of the marketing that goes around getting this stuff out. And so that's part of the reason for this discussion, so that on one hand, I get to know you a little bit better. And two, for those who are, it's also an opportunity for me to introduce people on YouTube and wherever else to who you are and kind of what they have to look forward to with what's coming. And so I'm just trying to it helps to find the journey and, find the connection. And so and we can kind of end with this bit is how did the opportunity with Al-Maghrib and Quran Flow come about?
So I've known Noor and Ali and Sheikh Omar since Nishiro 2010 in Toronto. And then Noor, I've worked with him for a while in 2010 for a bit, like after 2010. And then for a number of years, like say 2020, 21, 22. So pretty recently. So, and I've known him over the years. And I've always had a good relationship with him. Sister Laila has taken my courses, and I've known her for a few years now. Okay. Yeah.
So there was that familiarity with, I guess, the other members of the administrative staff.
Yep.
Who've had, who have received value from you and what you offer.
No, well, with head of Quran Flow.
Yeah.
She has been a student of mine, like in my course. Okay. And with the execs, no, not that they were students of mine, but like just know each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's
proximity,
proximity,
like physical proximity in the same city. With Noor, he's been my coach for a bit, so we've had a good relationship, and alhamdulillah.
Okay. So, but I guess did they just reach out to you like, hey, Idrees, we got this opportunity. You want in?
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. I didn't apply for anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so they just reached out. Hey,
they just reached out. Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those, you make dua for something, and then opportunity comes, comes from the sky, so to speak. That's kind of what it was.
It's funny because one of my dream du'as for many visionaire sessions has been to be managing a studio with a team. The team aspect hasn't manifested yet.
Yeah.
No offense, Sufyan. You're one of hopefully the first of more. But inshallah, I would love to see this whole project manifest into something bigger and better that eventually doesn't even need me,
Yeah.
right? But like, I guess in some sense, both you and I are living the dream du'as that we've been making.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like, in a way, what brings us together for this project
Yep.
that hopefully, inshallah, is going to bring about a major benefit.
Inshallah, yeah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept and put barakah in it. Yeah, for me, it's honestly like something like that. Like I've been making dua. In fact, I don't know when people are viewing this. This is now
Right now
August,
is the
right?
beginning of August.
Beginning of August
2025.
2025.
Yeah.
And a close relative of mine had gone for Hajj and Hajj in 2025. And he was watching this. It was about a month ago. Wait, 2 months ago. 2 months ago. Beginning, like Hajj was beginning of July, beginning of June. And so there's a number of du'as that, like, you know, like he's close enough that I shared certain du'as for him to make for me. And I also made those du'as for myself in Arafat. And about a week later is when I got this note, like this invitation, this opportunity came on my, you know, so I saw it as that like, you know, we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides, you know, from where you'd never expect it. And this was honestly one of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Guys, if you have any questions or comments, down in the leave them down in the comment section below. I do hope sincerely that we do have more interactions like this in the future. This is the start of something beautiful, and I hope to continue to, not just you, but every other instructor that we bring on board with the Quran Flow program.
Yep.
With Quran Flow, to be able to add that value to not only to the students that are enrolled, but also for me to, I guess, fulfill my hope that the YouTube channel itself would help, at least on the most fundamental basic level, get people to a level of basic reading so that when they come into the program, they already hit the ground running. And I think we'll continue that with another episode, another video, another discussion. But for now, I'll see you guys soon. Assalamu alaikum.